Good evening, fellow ghouls and inspectors alike. It's your ghost host with the most, Tiki here.
And Blue Dragon 5, here to engage in some haunted holiday hijinks by trudging through the catacombs and dusting off the cobwebs to recount our spooky selection of Halloween classics.
So light the jack-o'-lanterns, suit up, and grab the candy dish as we revive and recount tonight's spooky selection, The Invisible Man 2020. It's a very scary year. I shouldn't be making 2020 jokes just yet. Okay, Dragon. So yeah, we're back. And this is one of the few movies we have on our docket. So I must admit, it's going to be nice to kind of just have a free-form conversation for a change. Invisible Man. Now this was actually on your rate. Like, this is one of the very few horror movies that you saw before I did.
Yes.
I know you have a history with the Invisible Man, so I'm gonna kind of save that, and I'm gonna just give my basic opinions. For me, I don't know. Like, with the Invisible Man, I haven't really ever been that much of a fan of the character. There's like, the technology is cool, sure, and I'm pretty sure that's a lot of what draws you into it. I just never found the characterization that interesting. But of course, this movie, Dragon, I will admit, I don't think this is this is up to the same level. It is a Blumhouse film and not an A24 horror film. So an A20, is it A23 or A24? I think it's
it's 24.
Okay, I don't know why I'm second guessing myself. Yeah. So Dragon, A24, I think Hereditary is like the new Exorcist as far as I'm concerned. This ain't no Exorcist. But it aims high though, Dragon. This basically feels like a more messy version of the kind of stuff that Hereditary and the Babadook were going for in terms of kind of framing a horror story around domestic abuse and the post-traumatic stress associated with that. There's definitely a kind of a is she actually, like, is this actually happening? Is it all in her head? I really like that element of the movie, but like I said, I don't know. I feel like this movie, it's ambitious for a Blumhouse movie, but in being ambitious, I feel like it kind of like sets itself up to be like, yeah, it just doesn't quite reach that level of, the best A24 horror movies. But Dragon, keep in mind, this is me. Like, I have much more of an attachment to the horror movie genre, and you have much more of an attachment to the character as a whole. So I feel like you and I are really coming at this from two different perspectives. So I give this a very respectable 8 out of 10. I have a couple plot issues with it that we'll get into, but I have a lot of fun with it. I do. I think it's a very captivating movie. Elizabeth Moss absolutely, she's, it's not a, it's not a Hereditary level performance, but it's very good in its own right. And I do think the ending is very ballsy. I'll say that much. So with that in mind, Dragon, I'll throw it over to you because I think you have a lot more to say about this one.
Yes. So look, I love the Invisible Man for a couple of reasons. I mean, honestly, the Invisible Man, it's always fundamentally kind of like with the creature from the Black Lagoon for a lot of people. The iconography really speaks to me. It's like the well dressed monster. Like why does he wear such nice bandages and and the smoking jacket and in the robe? He looks so dapper. It's a great design. So it always kind of stood out to me on that level. But for me, what really really gets me about the character is I love how no Invisible Man story is necessarily the same. It's like it's not exactly like a Frankenstein or Dracula. It's not or Wolfman. There's not a specific blueprint. The Invisible Man, he does not have as many films as the rest of his horror brethren of the Universal Horror Brigade. He Invisible Man, it's usually what happens is after Claude Rains, the original, who, by the way, one of the coolest things about the Invisible Man, was the inspiration for Mark Hamill's Joker, Claude Rains, and along with the Blue Meanies from Yellow Submarine. You mix those two together, you get the Joker. So again, yet another reason the Invisible Man always kind of holds kind of I burn a torch for the Invisible Man. So after Claude Rains,
that should be a T-shirt. I burn a torch for the Invisible Man.
Yeah. So, anyway, so that's thing. So after Claude Rains, the idea is the serum. It was a serum originally. The technical thing is something we just did for this movie. It's
and
always
make no mistake. I do think the technical thing, like, it very much reminds me of Mysterio of all things, which is kind of weird.
Yeah.
But by all means, I do think it's a creative workaround for sure. So
well, I mean, Mysterio is rooted in like the
thing by any means.
Mysterio is rooted in the effects in visual effects. So that is not
right.
Yeah, this thing that Mysterio would kill for. So that's the thing. So the wonderful game with the Invisible Man is that it's a serum that gets passed down for or rediscovered by like a new scientist like crafts the same formula, or traditionally what happens, like my best memory of the Invisible Man is Abbott and Costello Meet the Invisible Man, which it's like the lab assistant of John Griffin is of John Griffin of the original Invisible Man. He has the serum and he gives it to a new guy. So again, it always kind of gets passed down in some way, shape, or form, which leads to a lot of creative avenues of like, okay, so it's never the same guy.
Mm-hmm.
So and I watched the movie. The way I found it before you did is Kevin Smith recommended this, and he was really emphatic about how great it was, and he didn't spoil anything. He said, "Oh, you guys, you got to see it. It's really different how they've ever done the Invisible Man before." And at the time, I had been watching Mad Men, so Elizabeth Moss was definitely on my mind. Like, okay, so she's starring in this, so it's her. Okay, I've liked her in what I've seen in Mad Men, not as much as not as much as Christina Hendricks in Mad Men, but still Elizabeth Moss, she's up there. She's good, better than January Jones. Anyway, I'm talking about the women of Mad Men, just to refocus. So again, also my always kind of my appeal towards the Invisible Man on the surface level. Yeah, so this movie, I love this. Honestly, I've been saying this for a long time, especially when we talked about the Creature from the Black Lagoon last year. This and The Shape of Water are the proper remakes for the Universal monsters. This is how you craft. This is how you craft them individually to maybe one day tie them in. I don't know. We're remaking them right with films like these, taking them case by case like this.
Yeah, I agree. Not trying to build a universe. I mean that's the that. Like, honestly, Dragon, I feel like standalone movies are going to become, like, the new it thing after a while, after people are just, like, oversaturated with the cinematic universe thing. And I'm really looking forward to that.
Assuming you're going to succeed is the kiss of death.
Uh-huh.
Assuming, like, we're going to call it the Dark Universe, where in Marvel's case, it was like, well, where else are we going to call it?
Two different attempts.
Yeah, Marvel was a hope. They kind of started like kind of a loose thread, which then became
at this point, I'm just like Marvel is like it's lightning in a bottle as far as I'm concerned.
Exactly. So what I love here is that this movie explored what makes the Invisible Man scary, because a lot of people are just going to throw their hands over. Oh, what were we going to do? A bunch of floating stuff that's supposed to be scary to me.
Kind of.
I know we legitimize it. Though. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
we evaluated, the Invisible Man, the age-old story is that invisibility drove him to madness. So we get to explore how does someone go crazy with the power of invisibility. Like we get to explore it for the monster, but more so for the victim affected and driven to madness by the monster, which is an ingenious kind of slant on it. And it's such a there was such great thought in cinematography applied to the psychological and physical horrors you can do with an Invisible Man movie that has never been done before. This is the film that, and also one of the very few films we're getting these days, a film that complements, the relevant kind of modern issues women have been facing. We've been trying to reflect in films. This one we did it really naturally. We didn't make it force like a PSA or anything. It just kind of, it fit into the story just right. And Lee Wanell has impressed me so much. This is his third film. He did Insidious, he did Upgrade, and he did Invisible Man. And
he didn't do Insidious. James
I'm sorry. I meant Insidious 3.
Okay.
I forgot shorthanded it, assuming you might know what I was talking about.
I
But
was gonna say,
I thought you saw
and that's
all
my
those.
favorite James Wan film, by the way. So
I know. I thought you might know I wasn't talking about the James Wan one, but okay.
I just want to correct you.
Okay, Insidious 3. So the point
All right.
being is, anyways, he's still a young buck, and he's really impressed me between this and Upgrade from what I have seen of those three films.
Upgrade
Yes.
was pretty good, yeah.
I know Upgrade was really good. So let me tell you the background. It's not a lot, but let me tell you how we get this movie. Okay, so Invisible Man has been in development since '06 and essentially picked up steam with the Dark Universe, I guess around maybe 2015 or 16 when that was starting to brew. And obviously we know how that went when the 2017 Mummy came out. Just kind of killed all hope there.
Oh man, I mean, and that's another example of just like that movie is like less of a movie and more of like, hey, you guys like cinematic universe shit, right?
It's like everything. Imagine we took everything that was wrong
Russell
with
Crowe is Dr. Jekyll, Nick Fury. That's cool, right?
like let's take everything that was wrong with Iron Man 2 and just magnify it and make that the movie.
Exactly.
It's like remember like there was kind of a recurrent thing in Iron Man 2. Let's just make that the whole movie. So then that caused Universal. Okay, let's just take it by case basis. We're still going to make the movies. We'll just we'll refocus. We'll keep it simple and maybe reevaluate how we're doing it. In this case, they kind of decided to outsource some of them to Blumhouse. I don't know if they're all going to Blumhouse, but at least some of them are. So Universal, they called Lee Wanell. Lee Wanell had no idea.
Surprised if they all ended up at Blumhouse because Universal has a really good relationship with Blumhouse right now.
Well, I know Wolfman's going to Blumhouse. I don't know I don't know if Frankenstein's going there too.
It would actually surprise me if it didn't.
I know. We'll see. So anyway, Universal they call Wanell. After he did Upgrade, and he had no idea why he was going to the meeting, and they just kind of randomly pitched him, "Hey, you ever seen The Invisible Man?" Wait, what? It's like, hey, Lee, you want to?
I will admit, Dragon, as a director, I would be intimidated by Invisible Man. I would.
So let me tell you, you're right though. He was intimidated. Let me tell you why. So Lee Wanell, he's a fan. He's a fan of the iconic slasher villains. So that was the appeal for this. Like, okay, you get to do kind of like an iconic, kind of like not a slasher per se, but an iconic kind of horror icon, as it were. And he loved, as I kind of said up front, he kind of too loved the freeing aspect of the Invisible Man. Is that you don't really have a legacy. You can go really fresh with it because there's no Invisible Man is really the same. You basically. Every Invisible Man movie calls references. Okay, so there's the original guy and he died at the end, then we're moving on. That's all you do in every Invisible Man movie. You say the original guy found the formula and he got killed, and then we move on. Mm-hmm. So that's all he really. So he found that really freeing, but then the fear comes in, the intimidation factor of hey, you're not shooting anything on screen technically. And there's a lot of setup, and this could be boring and really drag the pacing, which is going to cause a guy to be really nervous when he's shooting that movie. So there was some intimidation there. But Wanell, he kind of leans in this philosophy of lean into the uniqueness. If you're kind of the Spielberg philosophy as well, like if you feel uneasy or nervous while you're making a movie, it's a good sign.
Right.
Yeah, so the visual effects in this were done by a company called Cutting Edge. How original, but they did good work. Cutting Edge, they did the
very appropriate name.
Yeah, I mean delivered though. I can't fault him for it. So Cutting Edge did the effects. I believe his company. I don't know if it's the company he worked with for Upgrade or not, because he brought a lot of his camera tricks from Upgrade, as you can see in the climax of the movie, the motion control camera, which I think is becoming his signature. Because everyone marveled at an Upgrade. And a big thing to mention, because you mentioned the hype up to 2020 at the top, one of the last released pre-pandemic films.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, this came out in February of
Didn't it come out the same week as Onward?
Well, Onward was March, so I don't... I'm pretty sure Invisible Man was February. Could have been March. I'm pretty sure.
No, you're right. You're right. Invisible Man came out it came out like a solid month beforehand. You're right.
So went well. Got greenlit for a sequel, The Invisible Woman, and Wanell has also, because they loved his work on this so much, they offered him the Wolfman, which I mean, he impressed me with these. I don't know what he's going to do with Wolfman, but we'll see. And that's it. That's all she wrote.
Okay. So where do you want to start as far as breaking down this film goes?
Well, I mean, let's Let's start with the opening and then just kind of take it from there.
Yeah. So first of all, I really love the way the credits are done, like the crashing waves. That's just very artful.
Also,
it's just like they must have like outsourced that to a visual effects company.
Also, been a while, so not many movies do the opening credits these days. It's quite rare. And also, I love how we have like modern tributes to the classic Universal horror. In one case, we're doing a throwback to, okay, we have opening credits that are kind of styled to the monster. That's nice. And later on, we have some great nods to the Invisible Man franchise, which is also nice.
So yeah, let's see.
The Silent Escape.
It is. It very much sets the tone. I like how it's like, one of the things about this movie is that it's very much a slow burn, because you don't really get the Invisible Man stuff really doesn't start happening in full until about an hour in.
Yeah, about roughly the hour mark is when we actually reveal she's not crazy, there is an Invisible Man.
And I do like that kind of like psychological build. I like, the traumatic event at the at the onset that kind of builds into like, oh, she's slowly getting better. She's the mailbox thing. She's actually making steps to improve her condition, and then I love how all hell just breaks loose at just the moment where it seems like things are good.
You'll notice in the movie, and this is intentional, there's one happy scene in the entire movie. Okay. It's a really fun happy scene. The one happy scene in the movie is the ladder scene where she has all the money and she's giving her friends gifts. We're like, hey, there's that ladder you want, and look up there, there's that Parsons fund. I'm starting for the girl.
Right.
They're celebrating, they're breaking out the champagne and everything. Aldous Hodge is all happy-go-lucky and quippy, and it's like, yeah, it's going great. So again, just that's the one, and then we peer back and we see the Invisible Man spying on the affair. So it's like, for a brief moment, the one happy scene in the movie, which the male scene transitions into that. So
Speaking of that, what do you think of God? I'm sorry, I'm already blanking on his name. I'm dumb, but the cop character.
Yes, Aldous Hodge. So Aldous Hodge, you remember him from One Night in Miami. He's Jim Brown.
Yeah, of course. That's definitely like his most memorable role for sure.
And he's going to be in Black Adam. He's playing Hawkman, which is really exciting. Yeah, I know. I love this.
Hawkman,
I love this.
Really?
Yeah, Hawkman. I love this actor so much. Ever since I saw this movie, and I saw him in One Night in Miami, I'm sold on whatever this guy does.
I mean, yeah, he's definitely solid, for sure. And what I like about this character is that there's absolutely, like, Dragon, I will vouch for this until my dying day, all right? Platonic male-female friendships.
Yeah, I mean, we had a wonderful scene in the movie that just sums up who this character is, Tiki, where we're at the scene where she's trying to call out our red herring. And Aldous Hodge is there in support, and it's like, hey, I don't know why we're here, but I'm being a good friend, and I'm sure we're here for a good reason. I know Cece and you would not bring us here if not for a good reason. So we should sit up and show some respect. And he's a great guy.
And I mean, that's the thing, right? I don't know. It's like it honestly really frustrates me that relationships like male female relationships like that are almost kind of like weird to showcase on film to a certain extent. It's like we're always like, there always has to be like, oh, it's a single man and a single woman.
And I like how we don't really explain it. Like, I mean, if you want to infer, it's that either
they're friends, they're probably either like college friends or go back further. It's like, I mean, look at my sister and I. Like, we're not blood relatives, but we're close enough to call each other brother and sister. It's like, sure. It's just how it goes sometime.
Yeah. What I mean is, like, I don't know if like she's like if Cecilia's friends with the daughter, and that's how they kind of became friends. I don't know.
Right.
Maybe maybe he dated her sister, and that's how they know each other. I don't know.
Honestly, that was kind of the vibe that I got.
Yeah, I know. It's kind of because they kind of seemed familiar with the hug and everything. She showed up. I mean, but again, I think it doesn't matter though. It's just that you can infer, but it's the fact they're buddies.
Exactly.
It's great. So just to what gets us to all this, Hodge. So again, that the silent escape is just. I want to highlight how we build is tremendous in this film all throughout, and the fact that we play on the fact of we're not really going to share a scene with the actor who plays the Invisible Man until the last scene of the movie. So we're going to build the dread on this.
It feels like a stage play in that regard. How
I know.
Up like that.
It's great. I just love that. Again, we weaponize like the power. This man is we highlight what's already scary about this guy. So basically, when he's invisible, makes him all the more terrifying. Where this woman, we don't just the little we know about her. Okay, she wants to get out of this, presumably an abusive relationship, so much so that she drugged him, and she's terrified to make a sound. And
Right.
and the fact that she's mapped out this very intricate escape and he's got cameras everywhere. This guy just it tells you everything you need to know. This guy is like the
Yeah,
worst.
it is a good opening sequence as far as like show not tell goes.
Just builds up like how bad this relationship's been. Like the idea she's practically been this guy's prisoner for at least like a year or two for however long they've been dating since like the end of 2017 to probably 2019, given they're probably shooting the movie. So it's for a long time she's been a prisoner of this guy practically.
Exactly.
Just a very controlled relationship. Anyway, so then just when he awakens, like he runs up to the car and just breaks the window and everything. So it's like these little glimpses of how crazy and controlling this guy is, and the lengths he's willing to go to preserve this status quo. Just insane. So something I'm sure you loved, given one of your favorite, one of your go-to filmmakers. This film has subversion all over, and it's wonderful.
Sure, it does.
Yeah, I think Ryan Johnson would give him the.
I still want to get that T-shirt that's literally just like the end credit tag of Last Jedi, just like directed by Ryan Johnson.
Anyway,
I like honestly, the next time I go to Hollywood Studios, I want to wear that shirt.
really? So it's just one that says directed by Ryan Johnson. That's it.
Yeah, it's literally just like a frame of like the end credits, like how it usually says like directed by George Lucas.
Yeah.
Oh man, like that is like the closest thing you can do to like making a political statement inside the park without actually like wearing a shirt of a political person. Just like, yeah, directed by Ryan Johnson, baby. Anyway,
well, he's not saying anything mean. He's just saying it's a fact. It was directed
exactly.
So yeah, so
I'm not saying anything positive or negative.
So I don't know if like Wano's like developing this as like a new part of his style or not, but it's a really good idea. Like this whole subversion signature, we're all over the movie. We're avoiding like the horror tropes. So, like in that whole that silent opening, you're expecting a jump scare any second because you're in the palpable tension she's in right now, and it's like she's going to the mirror, you're expecting he's gonna pop up, and he's been drugged, and until that car alarm goes off, you're not. It's just when you least expect it. We're doing
Dragon just to add on to the Haunting of Hill House motif that we seem to have going on this season.
I know. Yeah, I hope you're going to bring what I think you are.
The fact that Mike Flanagan like very much is kind of revolutionizing like not doing jump scares and doing background scares instead.
Sure. I mean, there's a more obvious Haunting of Hill House thing to reference here.
What is that?
Well, the Invisible Man himself, Tiki. Oliver Jackson Cohen is, he's, I believe, Peter Quinn from The Haunting of Hill House.
Is he Steve?
I don't know. I just know he's a guy from Haunting of Hill House. I read it somewhere. I thought it was said that he was Peter Quinn.
I don't remember who Peter Quinn is.
All right. Well,
if he's a ghost, then he might just be in the background because Haunting of Hill House has a lot of ghosts that are just in the background.
Oh. This is what I get for dipping a toe into it, folks.
Sorry.
Anyway, so regardless, so I think we're subverting all sorts of things in the movie. Like one thing I want to highlight, we have our red herring, which is a great subversion. Tom Griffin, the brother of Adrian Griffin.
He was definitely one of the more compelling parts of the whole film for me. Just just the way that like you really don't know what his character is up to. It very much again with the stage play thing, it very much reminds me of like a shady secondary character in a stage play who has a big presence but isn't on stage for very long.
But here's the thing, we teed this guy up as a really shady guy, but then we instantly diffuse that per the subversion, where it's like, hey, this guy is like, you think, oh, he's going to be all judgy towards the girlfriend who's like trying to get the money from, trying to gold dig the guy, and it's like, we cut, hey, I'm just doing my job here, and then we kind of cut the legs out from under that, and then later when we see him, we have the scene where when I watched this for the first time, I was like, oh god, we're gonna do this scene again, where it's like, oh, she's crazy because she's seeing an invisible guy, but no, he's supportive in the scene. Tom is not a prick in this scene.
I'm sorry. Oliver Jackson Cohen plays Luke Crane in The Haunting of Hill House.
Oh, okay. I don't know where I got Peter Quinn from. Must have been a different role.
Is it Bly Manor, maybe?
Is he in that too?
Yes, he is. He plays Peter Quint in Haunting of Bly Manor.
Oh, well,
which I have not gotten to yet. But Dragon, I can tell you that Luke is the heart and soul of Haunting of Hill House in a lot of ways. So he has some very memorable scenes, and he's by all intents and purposes like a very tragic teddy bear of a character in Hill House. So it's very weird seeing him in, it's a very kind of surreal role reversal. I honestly never would have picked up on the fact that it's the same guy.
Well, that was the intention, though, for the ending. When we had the scene with him, he's supposed to reel you in. Like, he seems like kind of a nice guy, but obviously there's the tension.
Well, but at that point, you're just like, okay, like, no, I am 100% on Elizabeth Moss's side on this.
Yeah, but you kind of get what drew her in the first place, It's like that 2017 thing. That's what got her in. But no, seriously, again, back to Tom Griffin, though, it's like, he's being supportive in that scene where he says, look, my brother was very crazy and ego-driven, but look, just don't, living well is the best revenge. Don't just move on. So he's being supportive. And then, of course, later on, then we have the truth coming out, and he says, we reveal that this guy's also a victim. He also is terrified of his brother and forced to be the bridge, be the olive branch between the two of them, be the gopher. And he just... He's cowardly, but still, like, you get it. You get the fear. I don't doubt the fear.
Very layered character in that regard.
That's what I'm saying. I love that in doing these subversions, we gave these characters layers versus the cookie cutter, like, oh, you've seen 1,000,000 times. So that was really refreshing. So let's see. So I want to mention a big plot point we should talk about. So again, traditionally, the Invisible Man is known for not making it to the end of his movies, most usually. Because again, the original one ends with the Invisible Man dying. So I love that up front we do this whole ghost story component to the film, where
and it definitely adds like a lot of doubt for the main character.
Yes. So the ghost story component just adds to this genius revenge plot on Adrian Griffin of, okay, you want to leave me, and just the hatred and the ego. I love it. I think the mark of a great villain, like the Reverse Flash, for example, is a character that just utterly despises the protagonist, who just feels angry and betrayed, but is obsessed with them. So when we do that here, was the ego and hatred on this guy of, okay, you want to leave me? I'm going to give you your wish. He just poisons her with her wish of like, hey, wish come true. I'm gone. You get to be independent if that's what you think you want. And I'm going to give you money. I'm going to give you happiness for you and your little friends. But I'm going to use that to frame you. I'm going to frame you when you least suspect it. So I'm going to put you in a position where the only escape you have is to come back to me, because I'm always going to be there, like he physically is as the Invisible Man. And your trauma, the trauma I've inflicted upon you and will continue to inflict upon you, will never go away. Which, again, is kind of that real-world scary thing people are dealing with right now. It's like women are dealing with right now. It's just like it's an ingenious revenge plan. It actually works because he fakes his death and he fakes it as a kidnapping. He comes back scot-free.
Mm-hmm.
Just I'm blown away by that, just in terms of the plotting on this.
And so let's get to, I think the biggest shock of the movie was the sister's death.
Yes. Well, should we talk about Elizabeth Moss first, though?
Well, I mean, I don't know. I like her. Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
I mean, have you seen her in anything else before?
I want to say I have. Let me look her up.
Like, did you ever try Handmaid's Tale? I hadn't myself. I'm just wondering.
Oh, that's where she's. I tried it.
Well, it's Mad Men and Handmaid's Tale are her go-to. Those are the big series that she's done. Like, she's currently still on Handmaid's Tale, I guess. That's the big thing everyone talks about with her. I saw her in Mad Men, so...
I honestly, Dragon, I saw like one episode of Handmaid's Tale. It wasn't really my thing.
All right, no, that's fine. But you said, just fresh take on her from this movie, though. I mean, I thought tremendous lead.
I really think she does a good job of, like I said, I think what really sells the downward slide that she goes on is the fact that you slowly see her start to recover in Act 1.
Yes.
I don't think the downward slide would be as effective if you didn't genuinely buy that she was starting to get better.
and then you sand away the sanity with every act of the
Uh-huh.
Invisible Man. Just sand it away. And like the most heartbreaking scene for me is when the Invisible Man just straight up punched poor Sydney,
Oh yeah. Oh,
James's
that
daughter.
yeah.
And just like, and again, because again, how else do you explain? It's like it's almost, this is gonna be it's an Invisible Man pool. It's gonna be a kind of an odd kind of tone shift here, but it's kind of like the gag in Abbott Costello Meet the Invisible Man, where the Invisible Man was a boxer in that, and basically they faked like
Oh
all
God.
these super fast punches because no one could see it coming. So it's kind of
Right,
like,
right.
what else do you expect? It's kind of like the dramatic version of that. Look how fast he punched. Like, Cecilo's got a really fast punch to hit that girl. But yeah, so he's utterly heartbreaking. But I love that throughout the movie, though, she is proactive. Like, when once she confirms, okay, I'm not crazy, she goes to the house to find the suit, or to find the evidence. She's no final girl. She's no like final girl from a slash movie. She's running around in her under things. It's not her. Yeah, make some smart
And
moves.
I mean, we're jumping ahead, but just to touch on the performance, I love that last shot.
Yeah.
Just the look on her face. There's so much to read there.
That's what I'm saying. Elizabeth Moss, that's the reason she's getting all these big shows. She's really good.
Oh,
Yeah. So and also not afraid to really look really, kind of get really messed up too, because you
yeah,
see her,
yeah, totally,
like
totally.
you see how poor, how despondent she just gets when she's in that mental hospital in the third act. It's like, oh God, we put her through the ringer of the whole movie, and you can see it on her.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, so one of the thing that gets her to the mental institution, of course, is the death of her sister. My
And
God,
that is easily like the best scare in the movie, I think.
and I love that you don't see it coming. And that's what I'm talking about, like the subversion.
Absolutely don't see it coming. Like that conversation lulls you into such a false sense of security. I love it.
And it's the fact that they're in a public place. Ordinarily, you think
They're in a
that's
public place that they previously had it falling out, but they're very easily like it's very easily like kind of like what sisters do. They fight and then they get back together and they're there for each other, and then bam.
Yeah, just like, and I love the thing on the rewatches gets me every time now is like the reaction of the sister to the floating knife before she gets killed. Like, I completely forgot that she saw the knife floating first.
She did, yeah.
It's like, oh God,
And then
like
what
just
gets
that.
me is the reaction from everyone else.
Which of course, they're all in their little worlds, like one of those trendy restaurants, and it's like they're all in their little worlds until like death. Oh, but now you're all
dinner
paying.
with Andre went terribly, terribly wrong, Dragon.
Yes. Oh God. Yeah. What if My Dinner with Andre were an A24 film? Yeah.
That's what you get for taking up all the screen time, Andre.
He just basically
want to monologue too. Damn it!
just breaks a bottle and my movie.
And Andre's just like, now, Wally, we arranged this script so that you would talk towards the end of the picture, Wally. What's wrong with you?
Not good enough.
All right.
Anyway, but yeah, so again, the frame up, and again, I love how we planted the seeds so well. Where we had that creepy scene where the Invisible Man is up in the attic, and he's been waiting up there for like probably for like a week or possibly up to 2 weeks, and he's had like her clothes, her underwear, her food, her portfolio, the portfolio that was missing during the job interview. He's been drugging her.
Yeah,
with,
that
like,
job interview scene also sucked because you could tell like she was like really hitting it off with the with the guy in terms of like, oh man, like the guy genuinely seemed like this is the kind of person I want working for me.
And even when the portfolio was gone, he was very supportive.
Yeah.
You get a chance, and of course, then like I don't know if it was diazepam or something. It was like the whole the drug that she had, like for the anxiety. I think it was anti-anxiety. I don't know what it was, but she.
I imagine it must be an antidepressant of some sort.
Maybe, yeah, sure. But the point being, like the pills that again, like it's like we have a few Chekhov's things here and there, like Chekhov's pills, if you will. It's the the MacGuffin pills. I don't know, not MacGuffin pills. The point being, we found them and we paid him off, and she's been drugged throughout the movie. Gives her a reason to call the doctor for the pregnancy reveal. Everything's relative. Like Tiki, we don't waste any part of the buffalo in this movie, and I love it. Sure. It's a lean, mean 2 hours, like a little under 2 hours. Yeah. And again, like the prints on the knife from when she was defending herself from the Invisible Man. That's that sort of stuff. And the hateful email that he sent to her sister. Which that's the only thing I don't buy in the movie. There's only one buy, I think, in the movie for me. that the sister would turn on her that easily after one email.
Mm. Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know. I give it a pass, but I hear what you're saying.
I'll easily give it a pass because I love everything else. I'm just saying, to me, that's the only gripe I got with the movie. What gripes do you have with the movie?
I mean, Dragon, my only gripes are just, like, it feels like baby's first A24 psychological horror movie, and that's just really not fair.
Yeah, that's just to the A24 super fans, really. You know, it's
Yeah, exactly. And so I really can't, like, I don't want to sit here and be like, well, Hereditary did this, and this better. But really, Dragon, it's just the only fault of this is, like, comparing it to Hereditary, and it's not nearly as effective. But, you know, like, on its own, it's still pretty damn effective in its own right. So
I'll gladly take baby's first A24 horror because that's as much as I can stomach. Apparently, it's, you know.
Oh, you would perish for Hereditary. Yes,
that's what I'm saying. So I mean, I'll take
Hereditary is a tough film to watch.
They made this film for me. I'll take it.
Right. Okay, that's a fair point. That's a fair point. Because I know you're not a horror guy at all. So, you know, so for you to actually, like, just get such a kick out of this, you know, I'll wrap this back around to a positive, Dragon. This is kind of my final thoughts, unless you have anything else.
Well, I mean, I got still got stuff to talk about with the suit itself, you know.
Okay, I'll make my point later. Then go ahead.
Okay. All right, basically, I want to talk about the cinematography and the suit, and maybe the climax if we can.
Okay.
Okay, so cinematography, and as I mentioned with the build-up, I just love the fact that there's a great progression with how we shoot the film, where you know, we see all the cameras, so we set kind of like the camera thing, we're being watched, and then we peer around corners, and we have these setups, like we're seeing a lot of empty space in the sets, we're just lingering on these shots even before there's an invisible man there, so they kind of get you off your guard.
Mm-hmm.
And then every time we're peering around these corners, then you're thinking, oh God, he might be watching. You don't know. You assume he is, but you don't know.
And I mean, like I said, it is very much a good hour until we actually see solid evidence.
Exactly. It's like the full hour before she grabs that can of paint and, like, such a great, oh my God, that's an entrance.
That's a really, really good jump scare. Like, that is an earned jump scare.
It is so great. So here's a fun fact for you. I think I've told you this once when we brought this up on Memoirs. So they kind of lucked into something here. There's a certain people have a certain phobia, and if those people have this phobia, they're going to be utterly terrified of this movie.
Ooh.
This phobia is called tryptophobic. You're basically
Oh God, yeah.
So tryptophobia.
Yeah, definitely.
Are you familiar with tryptophobia?
I am.
Okay, yeah. So for folks out there, tryptophobia is the fear of small holes or like small hole patterns, which essentially
is that suit, man. That's exactly what it is.
So the suit itself, I think it's a brilliant update. You know, I mean, I'm a gadget nut already, so I'm already like on board for this. I was wondering.
I think it's easily the most feasible suit. Like, I think it's way better than any sort of like concoction or, you know, antidote or whatever.
See, I think what saves it too is that even when not visible, it is memorable. You know, it's imposing already. Like there's got like a fiber optic heft to it. Like when she stabs him, it won't necessarily do any damage because again, it's like a bunch of cameras insulating him. You know, I love the fact that, you know, our guy is rich and powerful, and he got rich and powerful from, you know, being an optics guy. You know, working with cameras and, like, you know, how to, like, you know, take images and stuff like that. So it's not coming out at a left field or nowhere. Like, this is all really nicely set up. And up to this point, we had some really great nods to the original Invisible Man. Well, subtle nods, like, you know, like big, like, oh, look at this. But it's like, hey, we have like a mannequin wearing the hat and coat at the end of the bed because the girl's in fashion school. And we have, when we're in the hospital, we focus on a man in bandages for a second there. And we build to the suit.
Right.
So, you know, that's all great. And there's just that power and menace and again, it's scarier. Just, you know, what it does. You know, it's kind of scary what it does behind the scenes. You know, it just, you know, it's what the Invisible Man, even before we see him, is what he does. Like in the menacing means, I'm going to cause a kitchen fire. You know, it's just to mess with you. It's like these little things, the little microaggressions he does, just kind of sanding away the sanity. So let's see. So then I love the third act of this movie. It's my favorite part of the movie. Everything in the third act, I think, is just...
Like I said, it sounds like it really feels like a great climax to a well-done stage play, you know?
Yeah,
It's like, all right, we've been waiting the whole play to see this enigmatic character that everyone's been talking about, and here he is, damn it.
Yep, and a really great thing too is that we don't do the cheat of like, oh, the Invisible Man's in shadow. No, he's in a really bright hallway.
Right,
Okay? It's a really
yeah.
well lit hallway, and I love the image of how he flickers. I love like the suit's been damaged by the pen, so it's kind of flickering on and off, so you get to see the horror, and then it disappears. So people, for a moment before they die, they kind of get it. So just like the sister, it's like, oh, I get it, but now I'm dead. Just it's like basically it's like looking at like one of those magic paintings from the 90s, you know. It's kind of what we do, where it's like, oh, I see the sailboat, now you're dead.
Right, oh god.
And again, I love what again, I just love how we did not make her just kind of the ordinary final girl, or okay, so she's you know, she knows she has something he wants.
She's really not a final girl just because it's like she's like one of like 3 or 4 characters in the movie.
I'm sorry. I think you're right. Final girl is the wrong term. I think I love that she's not a scream queen, which she very easily could have been.
Yeah.
Like, she's no Fay Ray, no scream queen going on here. And I love she was really smart in how she baited the hook here. Where okay, he wanted to get me pregnant, so I would never leave the house. And now that I am pregnant, which is even creepier when you think about it, either when
I don't even want to go over the implications of that for monetization reasons, Dragon.
Right, just before or after the suit is a haunting question.
Yeah.
That's the thing. But regardless, it's just the fact that okay, I've now been impregnated, so I have something he wants, and if I threaten my own life and the baby's life, that will cause him to act. And then I'll have the little window enough to act and get out of there. And it's like, just expose him. And she does. But again, she didn't count, oh God, if I expose him, no one's going to have the foresight just to look, just keep your eyes on him. And shoot, and he shoots that guy in the leg. And I love that we've updated the classic horror like atmosphere. Like it's raining I love raining in the parking lot, where it just feels like it's a monster movie. Like you're running out into the streets of a cobblestone town in a Universal horror film, but it's been updated. So I mean, that's great. Then the house, fun fact, Aldous Hodge, he is doing all of that himself, that fight, because the way they did the Invisible Man in the movies, they have the motion control camera, they do a bunch of oneers, but they have a guy in a green suit that is being painted out, which is not easy. To do it for as sustain a time as they did. But with Aldous Hodge, though, he is faking being beaten up so well. Like there's no green guy in a green suit in that fight like there was in the kitchen. So just great. And of course the that fight in itself and the fire. We have Chekhov's fire extinguisher, where we use it to put out the kitchen fire. The first thing the Invisible Man does to her, and it's the last thing seemingly the Invisible Man does. But then there's a twist. Oh boy, is there a rich twist.
Oh yeah.
Wrong Invisible. We set up there were 2 suits. The brother was made to be the patsy so he can get off scot-free, but Elizabeth Moss ain't gonna stand for that. No, she ain't. And I just love that. Again, it brings it back to kind of the Me Too era, just kind of legitimized. You know, it's just like the Me Too era, like legitimized in film versus being all messagey. Like we have to hit it with the hammer here, where it's like, hey, admit what you did to me, so we can move on. Just trying to get him to confess on tape. And I love there's a runner in the movie that comes back at the very end. Surprise. The first thing the Invisible Man says in text.
Yeah. The acting on that is very on point for sure.
And I love that when he says surprise to her, like he did like a few times in the movie, it's like that's his way.
That affirms it without any doubt at all. Like yes. There we go. Like that was absolutely the same person.
That's the screw you, but you can't prove it. That's the whole, like, I'll admit, I'm going to tell you this just in case he thinks he's out Foxer. In case you're looking for a confession, I won't give it to you, but I'll give you the wink. Yep, surprise. And I love that, like, I love that she had a plan B. I love that if he won't admit it, this ends tonight one way or another. And she uses his own ego against him. She used herself as a Trojan horse, and she became the Invisible Woman and faked his own suicide.
Yep.
Just brilliant. I love that James let her go.
Yeah, I love that there is a moral ambiguity at the end. There really is. And like I said, her facial expression at the very end, at that last shot, it is one of like, okay, I did it, but at the same time, it's like, what was the cost? What have I become? You know, it's like there's a lot going on in that last expression.
And I just love that. Again, you guys love that what we did with that last moment too is that she's becoming the monster. You know, it's like it's up in the air. Like, will she become the monster? Given the fact we're having a sequel, I'm going to assume yes, but I don't
I
know.
definitely think the Invisible Woman would be a very, it'd be a very solid foundation for a sequel that we already have. So
I know, exactly. And again, I love that with the Invisible Man, you're passing it on to the next person, which is just great. And it just, again, the original Madness just it sparked her own. Like he brought her to the brink. No wonder she would have snapped like that. No wonder. And again, he brought it all on himself. And I love that James gives it the okay because it is some form of justice. They could never prove it because he's outfoxing in every other way. And also, this is the man that tried to kill him and his daughter. This guy definitely deserves it. And I love it when she's making that 911 call. The minute she gets behind the camera, the face drops to like a surprise. I won. Just oh my god, just
yeah,
amazing.
yeah.
And it's a simple thing, but we have that great score playing as we have that face to camera at the end. But I love that symbolically, the Invisible Man is gone. Like you can never see him. He's gone.
Would it be appropriate if at the very end it's like the Invisible Man will not return?
That'd be great. So again, much like we're paying great lip service without following it to a T. Invisible Man dies in the end. This is a wonderful way to kill him off.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, I love this film. Like we can go on breaking down the minutia. I think we covered all the greatest hits though. This movie's wonderful, right?
Yeah. And just to get my last thought
sure,
out,
yes,
Dragon is
cool.
for me, I definitely have like, oh well, this is good psychological horror, but it's not brilliant psychological horror like Hereditary. I feel like Hereditary is like the new like I'm subscribed to the New Yorker.
I'm subscribed to the New Yorker.
But Dragon, like I said, for people like it's like I know that it takes a lot for you to watch a horror movie. So with that in mind, it really is like you are absolutely right. Like don't let my cynicism and like I still give this a solid 8 out of 10. It's great. But like I absolutely I absolutely think it's cool that someone like you can really dig it and really get into it because I think that's definitely that's definitely a factor of the movie itself. It's a big strength that I think should be celebrated for sure. All right. Any other thoughts on your end, Dragon?
I mean, I think. Look, let me add one more thought in there. So, with the ending as well, I do like because again, these things didn't occur to me in the moment because I was just so enamored and just kind of sucked into it. Because again, I'm not usually in the bag for this sort of film because it's kind of the Universal monsters. It's kind of my in. Again, I'll never watch that 2017 Mummy movie, but it's kind of my in. It's just the fact that
Have you seen Dracula Untold?
No, I have not. But that's the thing, though. I've, looking back at the movie, I found so many great things, and Elizabeth Moss, she did add a lot of, she added a lot of kind of extra layers to the character, and I think definitely kind of, whether intentional or not, I have to assume it's intentional. If not, it's just really, I don't know, maybe it's just good timing, maybe it's just like the stars aligning, but the fact that Cecilia, that moral ambiguity at the end, and her seeking revenge against an unstoppable force like that. I mean, that's the culture that we're kind of in now. We're still kind of in now. And 2020 was the year where a lot of other movies had kind of tried to explore that sort of thing, or at least a lot of the movies that tried to come out in 2020 were also going to explore that, but then they got delayed to 2021. So there's a couple. It's just the fact that, it's just we hit it so well and it just shows that some themes do kind of transcend genres, and I feel that it just shows you how relevant something can be when you're not even looking for it. The Invisible Man is a story that is not landlocked into being it's the floaty guy. It's he lights the cigarette and it sounds like Vincent Price. That's cool. That's classic. And don't get me wrong, I will never say a negative word about Claude Rains in the Invisible Man, but it's great to revisit the icons if you have something to say and if the story's just right. And I think this movie had just the right story, and I'm on board for whatever Leigh Whannell wants to do with the Wolfman, and especially the Invisible Woman.
All right, well said. All right, folks, that's the end of tonight's spooky selection, and our spirits grow weary. But they'll be stronger than ever next time as we engage in even more haunted holiday hijinks.
Surprise!